I'm Brian Jones. I'm the Senior Safety Specialist for Safety and Logistics for Aurora Innovation. So I'm kind of the safety guy that sets up all the facilities and terminals that we're running. And for those that don't know, Aurora is a self-driving company aimed at delivering the benefits of self-driving safely, quickly, and broadly. We currently operate in Texas, developing level 4 autonomous technology with a focus on trucking on our first product, what we call the Aurora Autonomous Trucking Subscription Service. So, our autonomous freight solution is powered by the Aurora driver. I had a gentleman ask me today, hey, did you bring one of the Aurora drivers with you? No, they're hard at work in Texas, racking up the miles. This is a driver-as-service product. It's designed to increase efficiency, productivity, and safety by solving many of the existing challenges facing the freight industry today. It provides carriers and fleet owners with a safe, reliable, and efficient solution for transporting goods. One that supplements human truck drivers. Not trying to replace human truck drivers, we're trying to add to the workforce. I was a truck driver for over 20 years. Some of the questions we just had with FMCSA, I had trouble getting drivers in the door. Some of the insurance issues that we've had too. So this is supplements and adds to the driver workforce. And we seek to increase the fleet utilization and lower operational costs. When carriers and private fleets provide when carriers and private fleets integrate our autonomous trucking product into their operations, they gain a reliable, scalable driver supply with a suite of services built in to assure that the trucks are powered by the Aurora driver safely deliver more goods on time. Aurora will be one of the first to launch the autonomous freight service using autonomous technology and the broad, meaningful way. So to give you a sense of our operation, every day we're hauling goods across Texas for our pilot customers between Dallas and Houston, as well as Fort Worth and El Paso. And these are some of our partners or pilot customers: FedEx, Werner, Hirschbach, Snyder, and Uber Freight. To give you a sense of our operation, we're allowing for, this allows for our customers to focus on shorter hauls and leave the middle portion to the Aurora driver. For the current operations, every delivery made is under the supervision of a vehicle operator. So we have a vehicle operator in the vehicle currently. But our technology and our trucks are doing most of the work, piloting the trucks and loads hundreds of miles every day. And this is a big hitter. As my 20 years of driving, I hit the 2 million mile mark. We just recently, through January, the Aurora driver actually logged 1 million miles. So we actually have a supplemental 1 million mile driver. Across these lanes, we're making more than 100 loads a week and logging more than 25,000 miles, commercial miles each week. To put that in perspective, that's like driving from New York to Los Angeles 9 times a week. Or where I'm stationed and based out of, which is Dallas, here to Louisville 15 times a week is what the Aurora driver's doing. And in preparation for our commercial launch, we made some news last November by being the first company to launch a commercial-ready trucking terminal for autonomous vehicles. Since then, we've had a second one in Houston, Texas. These 2 terminals bookend our first commercial route between Dallas and Houston. Today, I'd like to go over how we did this and some of the unique considerations when building a trucking terminal that will play host to autonomous vehicles. And we'll start how we view safety at Aurora. We believe safety exists in a spectrum of risk. The probability of an adverse outcome is severity. We also believe that the risk can be managed. We believe that we can manage safety by managing the associated risk. Ultimately, a well-managed safety is the absence of the unreasonable risk. Our commitment to safety is grounded in action. We believe safety is overall a journey. Our work never ends. Not only do we constantly maintain our acceptable levels of safety through assurance activities, we also believe that we can always be safer and always strive to be and improve our company and the technology. And what we do for us, everything always starts with safety. We say that in our mission, to deliver the benefits of self-driving technology safely, quickly, and broadly. There's a reason safely comes first. We carry safety into everything we do, whether it be developing our technology, testing the Aurora driver, or building our terminals. Of course, this means we have a high commitment to safety as we are building our terminals. But this also means we assign resources to keep our terminals safe after they're built. Finally, in participation in forums like this is where we become an opportunity for us to learn from others. We also believe that it's important to share what we've learned and what's worked well for us. We've been doing this for a while now and racked up a lot of miles and believe there's a lot more to offer the broader industry. With that, I'd like to dive into what made our terminals safe and what we're doing to keep them safe. So what it does to take the question is what does it take to build one of these terminals for us? We have developed a site plan, basically a blueprint, that we can duplicate or survey a site to cater to our specifications. So I could come up and say, hey, Brian, we want to build a terminal out here in this cornfield in Iowa or Ohio. What do we need to do? We can basically, through learning, we've learned through each terminal, we've developed that blueprint that we basically can take anywhere and duplicate. One of the things when I joined Aurora, our Dallas facility, which is in Palmer, Texas, was nothing more than a dirt lot with a couple of trailers on it. Our task, as the rest of the company, was developing the technology and was transforming this space into a functional terminal. Fortunately, autonomy is new, but trucking isn't. And we were able to draw upon what's worked for decades for other carriers and operators, including what I've seen firsthand working over 20 years of experience throughout the trucking industry as a driver, developing, terminal manager, training, all steps. We know that we've had to develop terminal safety. We have to control the ingress and egress. Because as we all know, most terminals, you got people turning in the wrong entrance, wrong exit, controlling the traffic flow. And of course, one of the major things for carriers is the reduced dwell time. So the first thing we did and set out to create and implement was our catered yard management system. Next, we took taking the standard pre-trip and post-trip process to another level. We have terminal operators, which are actual CDL holders, on our terminals that conduct the CVSA enhanced inspection. So essentially it's a level 1 inspection on the tractor and the trailer before it goes out onto the road every day. So any that we have that are set up for missions, we perform an enhanced inspection on. That's taking the step next as the post-trip and pre-trip. Third, we also have partnered with third parties to conduct on-site PMs, repairs, and including over the road in the case that happens. Our terminals have both human-operated vehicles and autonomous vehicles, so it's important for us to find a solution that works for both. Once we've had that foundation set, we began to look at what's different between a traditional terminal and the one thing that to have an autonomous vehicles coming in and out of it. Things like launching and landing. So when we're developing terminals, we have to have a launching and landing zone. So as we get ready to launch a vehicle out, and then we've got vehicles coming back in, we gotta be able to land them. We also have calibration. They have sensors, LiDARs, targets that are calibrated prior to dispatch. We have on-site fueling. We have load scaling, so we're scaling every single load, providing a load ticket. We are, again, doing the enhanced pre-trip before they go out. And I will say not every trailer is, as all of us probably know, being in the trucking industry, the trailers are the biggest issues out there. And not every trailer comes in great. There are some that we've had to perform on-site repairs to, just to make them roadworthy. Which all of this led to the establishment of our terminal operators to leverage the safety optics to control the yard, and which has resulted in a drastic reduction in property damage events. Because as I've known growing up through the field, property damage events and cargo damage damages your brand and damages your customer confidence. So like our partners we were mentioned earlier, FedEx, for example, doesn't give us trailers so we can damage them. So one of the ways we're keeping it safe is after several months of construction and effort, we launched the Palmer Terminal. Part of the attention went to developing our next terminal in Houston, building off what we've learned. So starting with Palmer, or the Dallas terminal, we kind of had some learning picked up at Houston. We've taken it to Fort Worth, which we're getting ready to, which is out in Aledo, Texas. We're getting ready to launch that one, and then El Paso also. We do have the sites, but we're under construction on some of those. But that being said, part of our attention stays right there at Palmer or the South Dallas, where our goal now is to keep the terminals safe. As many of you know, trucking terminals are busy and can be dangerous if not managed properly. And one of the pet peeves I've always had is no terminal can be managed behind a desk. I've been a terminal manager and walked the entire grounds every day, interacting with pre-trips, interacting with post-trips, parking, everything. I've also worked for some that I never saw the terminal manager. So one of the things I like to say is there's no terminal that can be managed behind a desk. Keeping terminals safe day to day out can sometimes be the most challenging part, but Aurora, we think we've done a good job of it. It all starts with our culture of safety. Aurora invests a lot of energy into making sure all of our staff, our partners and our contractors and customers all understand how important safety is to us. Our staff is extensively trained on how to perform their job functions safely. One of the acronyms I like to use is Mr. Bet, minimize risk before every task. So everybody we have, our staff, think about the task that you've been asked to do and minimize the risk before doing it. One thing I always like to say when I talk about stop work is, some people ask me, what is stop work authority? Well, if I'm licking my fingers plugging in an outlet, that's stop work authority. So we keep each other accountable to make sure that we are maintaining a high standard of safety. An example of this, that we have extremely low property damage rates, which has been huge. A lot of our customers have asked, what kind of damage have y'all running into? We do run into rock chips and stuff like that, like normal trucks do, but the way I see the terminals, they're a controlled environment. I played sports all my life. It's like a football field. We got terminal managers, terminal operators, or referees and coaches and players, and we got moving vehicles, both in autonomy and human driven. So how do we play safe in that space? I've worked at terminals for a number of years, and I can tell you with my experience, some sort of property damage event or cargo damage occurs every day, whether it's reported or not. So we tap into safety metrics like that and many others that are set up to explicitly measure the safety of our terminals and operations and monitor them closely. So any program that we develop for the terminals, a safety policy or anything, we grade compliance against it, creating safety metrics. We grade the terminals. Are we being compliant, not only with regulations, but with also Aurora established? And then we have auditing compliance, whether regulatory or Aurora developed. This is all aimed at continuous improvement. I'm a big proponent. When you're training for safety and talking about safety, it's not me telling you 10 years ago 3 points of contact. It's being repetitive and staying on there. Reducing the injuries, reducing cargo damage, reducing possibility for accidents. It's easy for us to train and come back and say, well, you know, Brian was trained on that. And then we're at an auditor's asking us, well, how long ago was that? 10 years ago. So we circle back around periodically, almost monthly. I'm at the terminals, the team is at the terminals on the safety side, making sure that continuous improvement keeps it fresh. This goes into what we fundamentally believe about safety at Aurora. We believe nothing is 100% safe. We have built our facilities to be safe, but with all the moving parts that happen at terminals, there's always going to be risk. But we are also believe that we can manage the risk down by implementing smart solutions that we've seen work across other spaces. For Aurora, safety is, again, the journey of constantly monitoring and improving, whether it be through observing safety metrics that we stood up, listening to the expertise of our staff, like the CDLs who have decades of experience in these environments, or through what we've learned externally. And I know the CDLs, we've kind of came up with a whole bunch of different, what I call adding to the toolbox. Everybody has a virtual toolbox that they add skills to. And we've moved, just because I'm a CDL holder, which I'm an active CDL holder, I can be trained as a terminal operator. Or, you know, I'm a mission control specialist. Or, you know, I'm doing the EPTI inspections. And I think with that, now the room got somewhat full, we can kind of open it up to some Q&A. I know a lot of people have some questions, just like I had early on, is, hey, where's the Aurora driver at? And like I said, I left him in Dallas and cruising up and down all the way to Houston and back.
There's a mic in the center of the room if you have any questions.
Oh, okay. Nothing to chit chat. Shop talk. There's a sign up. How many Aurora drivers do you want? I think there's a little.
Anyway, what's the timeline that you guys see all of this kind of taking over?
I got it.
What's the timeline that you see this technology really taking over and becoming affordable for like small fleets? Because I just got my authority last August, and I'm excited to incorporate some of this stuff down the road, but I don't know at what point it's going to make sense.
Yeah, our commercial launch plan was end of year, 1st of 2025. NVO, we've been testing, taking the operator out of the truck and making it NVO. I know we've also looked at customer, basically going to like an Amazon warehouse to an Amazon warehouse or DC. But looking like it'll be the end of the year, 1st of 2025, they'll actually be launching it as a service. So currently we'll be launching on the PACCAR, the Volvo platform. I think Volvo will actually be the first one coming out, but in lieu of somebody saying, hey, I'm having difficulty hiring drivers, and they say, hey, I want to start this subscription service for 10 vehicles, then we have the support staff and we can supplement drivers. We're not trying to replace any drivers. We're just trying to supplement your trucks or your trucking force.
Okay, I mean, at what point do you see this technology taking over driving in certain, like, that probably won't happen dock to dock, I would guess, but.
Yeah, I mean, we're going terminal to terminal now, so when, let's see, FedEx drops us off the terminal in Dallas and they want to get it to Houston, we get it to Houston, and then they'll pick it up from there. Again, I don't think, it's not anything that's ever going to replace all the drivers, because we all know the shortage just keeps pounding, and now we have a newer generation. I have a 23-year-old that has no interest in driving a truck, even though his dad did for a lot of years. He'd much rather build some technology to do that. But being able to supplement and add to anybody's workforce, I would say it's 2025. Good question. Yes, sir.
One thing I was curious about is that when you guys are talking to investors, you're saying that this is a $1 trillion total addressable market in the United States. And that, So when you guys are talking to investors, you're saying to them that the trucking industry in the United States is a $1 trillion total addressable market, and that your machines are going to be able to roughly cut the total operating costs per mile by about 35%. You're also saying that you're not trying to replace human drivers, you're trying to add to the additional workforce. Are you guys going to stop once you guys fix the driver shortage? Because it doesn't seem like you guys have the intent to do that, right?
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever finish. I don't think we'll ever cut the driver shortage. I mean, we have programs in place to even delve into the rideshare side of it, but we wanted to concentrate on the trucking industry because that's the most need. But I don't foresee us ending that complete driver shortage. I think we definitely could make a dent in it, and there's others out there that are testing technology too. But I mean, it would be nice to say, hey, Aurora, you guys can fill in all the gaps and take up all the slack for the drivers not being, they're either retiring or the replacement turnover of drivers, or some that just don't want to drive anymore. I mean, there were guys that I had retired and they wanted to go from Dallas to Oklahoma City, and that's it. It's 166 miles. And they were over the road. We used to see each other driving across, I-80 and all over the place. Donner Pass and everything, and now they're like, I'm in my 50s, I don't want to do this anymore. I got to be home. I mean, one of the things that brought me off the road was kids growing up, want to be there to play ball and stuff. So, yeah, fingers crossed we do close that gap completely, but we're still going to be in that supplemental stage, just helping out.
But like, say that you guys do successfully, and all your competitors do close the gap on the driver shortage, the alleged driver shortage. You guys don't have any incentive to stop, is what I'm asking, with what you're telling investors.
No, I mean, we're setting it up as a driver, as a service. No, we don't have any reason to stop. I mean, hopefully it launches as successful. The partners that we have, they see the success that we're having, and the word of mouth gets out there, and it's like, hey, we get smaller fleets come in. Hey, I've got 10 trucks. I want to upgrade to that medium size. I've heard good things. I want to do this. This is kind of that market we're trying to hit too.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Go on.
Go for it, mate. No.
That answered yours? Yes, sir.
I'm a student transportation supervisor with school buses. Are there any plans like for motor coaches or school buses to have autonomous drivers down the road?
Nothing that I've heard about anything with the school buses. Yeah, to me I never had my passenger endorsement, and to me that's a little worrisome because of the side streets and all that they've got to be on, surface streets. Yeah, that's it's bad enough putting a school on a major road. I think the school should be in the neighborhood, but yeah, I don't think there are any plans to hit the passenger side of it. Yes, sir.
Or yeah, on the safety side of things, from a cybersecurity perspective, what measures do you have in place? I mean, CISA, the agency, the federal agency responsible for cybersecurity, was just hacked earlier this year. The healthcare system right now is going through a heck of a time because there was a major hack. So if we're talking about 80,000-pound trucks that could potentially be hacked, what measures are in place to prevent that?
I did have that. A little note on that, just in case. Well, it talked about, possibly hijacking the trucks also. But let me see. Yeah, I know that we have some, I don't know if any of y'all were aware, Chris Urmson, our CEO, was testifying before Congress and brought up, and I know we have a team that specifically, that's all they do is try to hack into the Aurora driver system. It's about a 50-team member, give them all the assets that they can possibly come up with to do that. I know there's been questions about like possibly somebody hacking into a truck or hijacking a truck. I think we're committed to keeping our technology safe from potential cybersecurity threats and malicious actors. I know we've been proactively exploring the risks, investing in cybersecurity solutions, like I said, that team, collaborating with industry partners to create an ecosystem of safety around our vehicles. I know we regularly incorporate security upgrades across our vehicle platforms to harden it against threats. And then we actually conduct company-wide exercises or scenarios to make sure that the cybersecurity approach is, curtailed or even stopped.
Thank you.
Again. Yes, sir.
Do you guys use this in bad weather?
I'm sorry?
Do you guys use this technology in bad weather? In bad weather?
Yes, I know when I first got to Aurora, light snow starting was an issue, a little bit of rain and stuff like that, and we've perfected that. We'll still control. We're not going into a tropical storm launch or a hurricane, but and we haven't tested in a full-on blizzard. Let's say I-80 up there in Wyoming somewhere with high winds and it's a blizzard, but we've tested on several different platforms of bad weather and stuff like that. The launches will be kind of the dispatch will decide. We highly monitor the weather situations before any launch.
Yeah,
So,
I can't see this in bad weather. I'm a truck driver myself and doing all these miles. I can't see this happening. Right now, cruise control doesn't work in bad weather.
yeah,
So-
yeah. I remember cruise control when it first came out, and somebody stops in front of you, brake checks you, and it gets it all the way down. And that's where it's important with us scaling the trucks, because we have to know the braking power, the redundant braking system of the truck. So that's an important step that we've added to the terminals is scaling. We're not running down to the Loves or Pilot to scale them. We're scaling on site, so we know. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, sir.
But I'm kind of curious, and I'm not very knowledgeable about autonomous trucks at all. And I'm wondering a couple things. What makes an autonomous truck? And is Freightliner and Kenworth and Volvo, are they all working on autonomous trucks? And does a driver have to be in the truck to be autonomous? I just don't understand how.
No, and level 4, we don't have to be in there. Currently, we have a VO, which we call a left seater, and then we have a right seater that's annotating anything that they see. The VO is monitoring the truck, but
I can't imagine a truck going down the road without somebody in there. How dangerous that is. I just can't.
yeah, we've actually had it tested and it was impressive to watch it go 75 miles an hour with nobody on it. We had a testing at TRC Ohio. We just recently had an analyst day where it was on surface streets up in Pittsburgh, and nobody was in it. And we can have riders in the back. Yeah, it's a different world.
Yeah.
It's we do stay. I will say this: we do stay governor at 65 miles an hour and stay in the right-hand lane on a 3-lane road. If it's a 4-lane, we could possibly get over 1 lane.
What does a truck cost that has all this equipment in there?
That I don't know. I operate in the safety. I don't know what the actual cost, whether through PACCAR or Volvo, what it'll end up being.
So the PACCAR is supplementing this. The money's come from them to provide to do all this.
Yeah, we are testing our technology in the Peterbilts and also in the Volvo.
I just can't see how it's going to work, but we didn't know we'd have internet 30 years ago either. So.
Yeah, and there's been some others out there. We've even tested what we call mock MVO, where we've had the elite truck, let's say, go out with somebody in there, still in autonomy, but with a vehicle operator, and in between there, nobody.
Is anybody else doing what you're doing, or are you the main one in this technology? I mean,
Or is there anybody else out there in the
doing like what you're doing?
Yes, yeah, there are several other companies
I see.
that are testing. Texas is a big platform for us, it's a big state, so there's a lot of roadway miles. So, I mean, future plans, you know, going to Phoenix, going, you know, back to Atlanta, wherever we can go.
But this all reminds me of is the cartoon The Jetsons, you know, how things are changing. Appreciate you being here. God bless.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To this point, there's only been one longitudinal study done ever on autonomous vehicles. That was a study done with Google's autonomous fleet. And their results showed that their vehicles were 6 times more likely than a commercial driver to be involved in an accident. So my question for you is, as one of the first autonomous vehicle companies to really develop in the commercial vehicle side of things, and as a company that is committed to safety apparently, when will you be releasing your data on crash statistics and on safety, and will you have that data confirmed by a neutral third party?
I will say we're just about to close our safety case on that side of it. On the lanes that we've developed, we've actually taken like NHTSA's data and FMCSA's data talking about the fatality crashes and all the crashes that have happened, let's say on the 45 corridor between Dallas and Houston, and actually put the Aurora driver through it. And every single one of them, the Aurora driver has been able to avoid or curtail the being involved in it or being part of the situation. Same thing that we're doing between Fort Worth and El Paso, kind of taking those, all the accidents that happened on that run, and actually putting the Aurora driver through it in a scenario and see how it would react. I mean, we're going to cover that as far as when we close out our safety case, and those are all assurances are completed, then we're going to launch.
So will you be releasing the actual safety data once the vehicles are in consistent use? Not a theoretical training scenario, but the actual safety data.
Yeah, I would say that we are, because we're currently reporting anything that happens through NHTSA too. I mean, whether we're sideswiped or anything that's ever happened, we report it through NHTSA as part of the platform for everybody in level 4.
Like,
He's back.
Good day, sir. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir.
Interesting that a representative from a robotic technology company is coming to the world's biggest truck driver party, given what the end game of your technology actually is. You keep using the term CDL holders in your verbiage here, and something I noticed in Aurora's prospectus that they give to their investors is they keep repeating this lie from the American Trucking Association about a driver shortage. There are actually over 9 million active CDLs in America right now. So if you're going to use the term CDL holders rather than professional truck drivers, I'm just trying to square the contradiction here. When there's actually that many people that have already gone through the system, already got their license, already been drivers, and decided to quit, I'm just curious if like Aurora sees themselves as helping perpetuate this sort of snake eating its own tail when you have proposed this technology, which then discourages more people from entering the industry.
No, I mean, we see it as, I mean, we had to teach the Aurora driver how to drive. And we used, and I say active CDL holders, we used truck drivers to teach the Aurora driver. And we tried
teaching their replacements.
No, not necessarily. I mean, there's not, I tried to hire all over the place when I was doing it, and I couldn't hire them. Nobody wants to be an over-the-road truck driver. So.
At the end of the day, American truck drivers' wages are a $200 billion pot of gold. So at some point, like when you compare your presentation here, which is very focused on safety, and then you compare it to Aurora's sort of their investor prospectuses and then what they say to the government, there's sort of three very different tailored messages from what I can see. So I'm just curious, like, what's the sort of through line between those three different messages that's actually the whole message?
Yeah, we'll always have a need and be using truck drivers. Or we can call them active CDL holders. We employ them at our terminals. We do all testing. They're with the trucks. Currently, right now, when they take them out, as we're developing other lanes, we will be using and hiring more of them too.
Thanks very much.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Physics being physics and stupid drivers being stupid, what is Aurora's response to an actual collision? Because as good as any AI might be, or as good as any professional driver might be, an accident is bound to happen at some point. Just wanted to, what does that look like? How does that walk through? Is that any different from a professional driver, or what? How's Aurora's response to that?
I'll say accident, we'll say any kind of incident that comes in there, whether it's soft wheel failure, flat tire, whatever, the Aurora driver is set up to pull to the side of the shoulder, not stop in lane. We have rescue operations. We also have remote assist, but we have rescue operations in a lot of cases are following the trucks. And within 10 minutes or so that we could actually recover the truck on the side of the road. If it was something the remote couldn't breadcrumb back onto the road, we could actually take control of it, take it to a rest area or a safe haven. We've tested those actual events, whether it was an accident shutdown, whether it was involved in one, like when we put it through the test on the I-45 corridor, or whether we've been pulled over by an emergency vehicle or law enforcement. How is it going to react? I mean, I know early on was teaching it sees an emergency vehicle, move over the lane. Now it does that. Now was teaching it, hey, if it's got flashing lights and the officer doesn't know that, even though it says autonomous vehicle on it, he still tries to pull it over, it'll pull over into the shoulder. So one of the biggest steps is not have it stop in lane. If it's going to do its best and get it over, or remote assist will take control and park it on the side of the road.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi there. I have a question about affordability. Seeing as the vast majority of carriers have 1 to maybe 10 trucks, how are you going to address the affordability of this? I mean, the talk is called commercialization of autonomous vehicles, right? So how are you going to make sure that it's affordable for the vast majority of carriers to implement this technology if this is where the industry is going?
Right. Well, I know one of the things we've looked at, and trucking has changed over the years. When I was with larger carriers and smaller carriers, or probably tied in more. I know with larger carriers, it was usually like a 3-year time span on tractors. I mean, I've been at some places we were changing tractors every 3 years. I know that's been a great question, is to figure out, I'm not on the business development side, so I don't really know what the cost per mile is and how much the truck's actually going to cost when people come in, or my fleet is max. Doesn't work with Mac. I know we are going to be launching with Volvo and the PACCAR product, and looking elsewhere too, because if I don't have a Tesla and I have another car, I want to be able to make it autonomous or whatever, then setting up that platform. So I know the business development side, I'm not sure as far as how much that's going to cost. What kind of cost would a small carrier, say I got 10 trucks, I want to add 10 of the Aurora driver. I got to buy 10 mobiles, and they're going to be outfitted with the Aurora driver software and program and everything. Hope that answers it.
My question is, how do you guys foresee this is going to affect freight rates in an already very competitive market against brokers that can sell freight for 50 cents a mile? Will that negatively or positively affect the trends in the market?
I don't think so. I mean, I know that we've talked about several numbers as far as what we would charge per mile, and I know it's been highly competitive as far as, if somebody wanted to bring in a larger carrier, or even a smaller carrier wanted to bring in several trucks or whatever. I didn't think that any of those probably would have been, when you start throwing in other added costs for the human driver, and the restrictions, because Aurora driver won't have those restrictions once it's launched, let's say nationwide. You run into, costs where some people just want to run south of the Mason-Dixon line. Nobody wants to go up north or stuff like that. So I've been privy to a few of the numbers. I think it's pretty competitive as far as that.
Okay, just considering these trucks can turn over 3 times as many loads as a seated truck can, it seems like they would be able to compete a little bit more with the rates since they're able to do more loads. They don't have the hours of service kind of restrictions.
Yeah, we'll still have, our general PMs that we'll have to do, and we'll still have to fuel the truck. So when we start talking about, Atlanta to Los Angeles, we'll still.
Well, thank you.
Hope that answered it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk in this industry about new jobs that this technology is going to create, and one thing about AI is that it's really enabled like the automation of automation. In a lot of respects, and it's really hard to predict. And one of the things I was curious about is how many jobs is Aurora going to create when the transfer hubs themselves are expected to be obsolete as this technology develops?
So per terminal site?
So what?
You're saying per terminal site?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah, like eventually, like you guys are telling investors too that eventually this technology is going to get to the point where you're going to not need the transfer hubs anymore. It's going to go warehouse to warehouse and eventually dock to dock.
well, you'll still need Aurorans on the ground. So let's just say we do go to customer facility, you're still going to need Aurorans on the ground. So you're creating jobs to control calibration, launching, and landing at, let's say, Amazon to Amazon. Yeah, you would still need those. At our terminal facilities, 50 to 60 each one are currently staffed because we're running 24s.
Okay. Like 24/7 around the clock?
5 right now. We do run some shorter missions, or we do run some testing missions on the weekends, but we are staffed 24/7 basically.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
I was just curious about maintenance costs, the lifespan of the technology, and if there's any sort of warranty on it.
On the maintenance costs on the actual Aurora driver or the truck?
The technology, yeah.
Yeah, I know we're partnering with Continental to actually build our LiDARs and stuff like that for the Aurora driver. I don't know what the warranty would be, what it would look like. As far as that end of it, I do know that we'll have being the Aurora driver as a subscription service. It'll have constant, upgrades, constant preventive maintenance, whether it's on the truck or the software.
Thank you.
Are you guys retrofitting at all, or just doing it from factory only?
Right now from factory only.
Do you have any plans for retrofitting?
It's been talked about. Nothing's ever been decided. I know we were partnering with PACCAR and then also Volvo. So right now it's coming straight out of factory. Supplier will supply the factory with it. They'll build the truck with that platform built into it. So that could be a future step, is retrofitting, because like we were saying earlier, you talk to somebody who owns a bunch of Macs, or I've got Kenworths in play. That's part of the PACCAR family, but if I got Mac or some other type, international or any other type of truck, and I'm not ready to buy some trucks, can this be a possibility that I can retrofit?
Are you doing IC trucks as well, or just electric?
We have shore power on them. We're not delved into the electric side of it.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of IC, just internal. Okay. Thank you.
Any more? Oh, there we go.
After that, I was curious as to why, it's two technologies that we see, why aren't they being used together? Is it because you won't be able to use electric on I see you can use it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days. What is the restraints with the electric vehicle? Will that, is that why you're not delving?
I don't think that there would be any kind of, sharing of power, let's say, on the electric vehicles. I think that, it quite possibly could come out with the Volvo models or the PACCAR with the electric vehicles, because I know when I was working on the PACCAR side, had electric trucks, we had, propane, natural gas, all kinds going out in different areas. And one of the biggest challenges were, where are we going to fill this thing up? Or where are we going to charge it? Once you got out west, until you got to California, there was nothing there in between. So, that I could see that in the future, that they would go to the EV type trucks. Now, I'm not sure what the range is on those. I've seen some technology with, several of the cars that go from Chicago to Philadelphia, and it's cheaper to run it on gas because the EV, you got to stop and, charge it. And it took 2 hours longer. So.
Yeah, because we're kidding ourselves if we don't think this is the future.
Oh,
yeah. So.
Yeah, they're making the trucks wider and wider, and, I know that there was Peterbilt actually had an EV come out, and you open the hood and there's nothing there. It's just a big cavernous space now. A lot of high voltage wires underneath, but.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, there's different stages of autonomy. And full autonomy is without the driver.
Right, right.
So eventually, I think the industry will see a big percentage of it fully autonomous. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the highway driving is pretty much straightforward. Surface streets, navigating to a facility or something, it can be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
Once it lands onto a terminal site, then we just take control of it from there. We're now we're in manual as we move it around, because the Aurora driver is not going to be backing up and unhooking its own trailer.
Yeah, and I think that there's got to be, some middle ground where we come together and figure out, because it will put a lot of drivers out of work. I know we say there's a driver shortage, but I'm a shipper. Last 2 years, if you got bottom dollar rates, you got trucks full of capacity out there. So I don't really personally see a driver shortage. I know this technology is, but there's got to be some middle ground where we all come together and try to, because we don't want to put everybody to work.
No.
Like the gentleman said.
I just want to help them out.
This is a trucking,
We had
this is the largest trucking show in
Right.
North America. So.
Yeah, we had some people talking to FMCSA earlier, and it was like, oh, having trouble getting 10 drivers. I want to offer that as a solution. Here's the,
Because your job sucks.
Because of what?
There's tons of drivers, dude, the jobs suck.
No. We good? All right. Any more? We're all good? Well, I appreciate it. Hoping it was a bring a friend day. But I appreciate you guys bearing with me and hearing about Aurora and some new technology. Thank you.